My brother's going to
I like your cross.
Evening, everyone. I would like to call this meeting of the Sylva Board of Commissioners to order. First item on our agenda is to approve the agenda. You have a motion to approve this agenda.
I'll make that motion.
Have a motion, any discussion? And all that's in favor signify by saying aye. Now is the time for public comment. Do we have anyone that would wish to do that? Seeing none, we will move on to reports. The only item I would like to report is that I went to the Garden Club's little flea market that they had last Saturday at the Bridge Park, and those ladies got up and they donated all of their items, and what they sold, all of that money's going back into flowers and things for downtown. So I just want to really thank the Garden Club for all that they do for us. That's all I have. Mary?
Nothing to report.
David?
Yeah, now that the budget is winding down, we can try to set up another meeting with the county to discuss housing sometime. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, good evening, everyone. So I just wanted to touch base a little bit on a couple updates with what's going on with COVID in the community. There are some people hospitalized in the community with COVID presently. Clearly, it's nothing like it has been in the past, but just something to keep in mind that this is still not over. Vaccine boosters for all kids 5 and older. These are the boosters. If they already have their vaccines now available, as well as a second booster for certain folks in the community. Vivi and I are going to go. Viv's going to get her booster on Tuesday, and I'm going to go with her and get my second booster. It seems like the wastewater might have been peaking the last time we looked in the TWAS report, but I guess we'll have to wait and see. And just a reminder, folks in big groups and high risk areas to take precautions. And just remember that the less people that get COVID, the less people that contract COVID. So that's it on COVID. Crosswalks. I wanted to bring up something here. So Chief Hatton brought to my attention that there was a memorandum from the U.S. Department of Transportation promoting and implementing updated proven safety countermeasures for crosswalks. One of the things that is in there under the crosswalk visibility enhancements, they're now allowing so they're allowing those little signs in the middle of the road. So like at a crosswalk. Kind of like the ones we have around town, but you can actually have one in the middle of the road as long as it's a 2 or 3 lane road where speed limits are 30 miles an hour or less. So my thought would be to put one in front of Innovations Crossing there. I know the snowplow issue is an issue, but that, take it out in the wintertime or when there's snow, those things are kind of movable. So, but I was just asking Jake, I was wondering if you could.
About like on the yellow line?
Yeah, right on the yellow line, right in the middle. And, but that sounds like that's something new. that's come out in their guidelines. So I was hoping we can maybe look into that and see if that's something that we could do. And then, we, just like we talked about, having more of those little signs around town, that would be awesome. And last thing, so seeing as I've been spending lots of time around, Spring and Depot in those last few weeks. I've noticed when we talked about those burning bushes there, if that's something, I think no matter what happens, those burning bushes are a hazard for that crosswalk there. If it's, I don't know if that requires board action or not, just to look at removing those for safety purposes. Also, right now, sitting down there at night where the picnic tables are, that's potentially, that's a big block from people driving by seeing you. So, inviting unwanted behaviors, if you will, or whatever. So I'd like to see how everyone felt about getting those removed, or if that is a board thing, or if it's just something you can do. So that was it. That's all I got.
Okay, thank you.
What are those boxwoods?
Burning
Burning bush.
Can you cut those down to a size that? Yeah, they'll take a real hard trim back. My suggestion would be they're invasive. So let's just remove them if that's what y'all want to do. Let's do it.
It is blocking visibility, that crosswalk.
Great, thanks. Appreciate y'all.
Yeah, speaking of crosswalks, we've been sort of talking about crosswalk and Vernon and I have been talking a little bit about crosswalk enhancements, so we'll stay tuned for that. And just I talked to Kent over here behind, I guess, the former motion makers, and he's willing to let us put the half pipe where the Sylva is.
Oh, that's wonderful.
Do we have to move the sailboat?
We have to get rid of the Sylva. Somebody does. I mean, I don't have a trailer.
Suggestion. We've got lots of heavy equipment. It's like
Creek might take it away.
Yeah, exactly.
It's fine, but it has a pad, so we don't have to pour a pad.
Is the sailboat on a trailer or is it just beached?
I think it's not a trailer.
Let's talk about that.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's exciting. You can show the temporary half pipe there, maybe a few features. I'm not quite sure what you're trying to stop. That's great. That's all I have for that.
Thank you. Then we will move on to the manager's report.
I just have a few things. We sent an updated copy of the budget. The budget ordinances and expenditures have been updated with a slight change in the fire department with lines that were swapped, but the overall budget total is the same, and so is the summary sheet. This will be put on the website. We have received an agreement from DOT for the contingency funds for Allen Street. And our June 2nd is our retreat, beginning at 8:45 in the green room in Western. It'll end around 3 o'clock, so town hall will be closed for the day. I attended the Transportation Coordinating Committee meeting last week, and fortunately, they didn't receive bids for the Allen Drive sidewalk. So they'll try again to bid it to see if they can get bids. November 8th is the expected date. And the project manager explained that it's just a pattern that's happening with the price of materials and labor shortages right now. So they're hoping to get somebody in the fall after they finish their summer construction projects. And Commissioner Yelva and I met with Rusty Ellis from the rec department and explained that the county's in the very beginning phases of their skate park. So they don't have a location selected yet. He said he really appreciated the offer to purchase a ramp, but they just don't have a place yet. But we can look into insurance for over there if that's what the board wants to do. Also, town hall is closed for Memorial Day on Monday, and our first concert on the creek is this weekend.
Thank you.
So we got $10,000 budget. I think maybe some of that money should probably go to skate your own risk signage and things like that. But yeah, we'll get together with it. Liability portion of it.
Thank you. Public Works.
Everybody, restriping the parking lines on Main Street is ongoing. I appreciate everybody's patience with that, with blockages and stuff. We're working around weather right now. We've got one more block to do on the left-hand side, then we'll be starting on the right-hand side to include the Suntrust lot, Rips lot, and all that on that side. The Sylva Garden Club completed their spring planning on Monday. I'd like to thank them for all the work they do, getting downtown looking nice. The additional borings and the final installation of inclinometers has been completed, and Kessel Engineering Group is monitoring and compiling that geographical data for Allen Street, directly above Bryson Park. Mainspring Conservation Trust has completed their annual monitoring report for Pinnacle and Black Rock properties. They should be have that report to me here in the next couple of weeks. On June 27th, Paige and I will be attending a natural disaster preparedness training in the School of Government. That'll be in Hendersonville. Memorial Day banners will be going up on Main Street tomorrow and will remain up through Veterans Day.
4th of July.
4th of July, excuse me. Annual bridge inspections of Allen Street and Harold Street have been completed, and those reports are also forthcoming. And Spring Street will reopen Tuesday, May 31st. That's all.
Thank you, Jay. Police Department.
I do not have a report tonight.
Our department, Mike.
And I don't have much on. I just want to tell y'all, we've run 429 calls since 1st of January. That's a whole lot. And the other thing is, I'd like to mention that the county's offer would be good. That's really all I've got to say. Unless y'all have any questions.
Thank you, Mike. Main Street report.
Good evening. I've got a few things tonight. We've been sending out a weekly merchant bulletin that I've started to copy all of you on so you can see what we're communicating with the merchants. We've been doing this since I started pretty much. The social district, we've been gathering feedback. There's no incident so far except for the confusion of the days. And the merchants seem to be handling that pretty well. And we're working on acquiring grant funding for a facade and exterior improvements for property owners and merchants. I'm working with Tiffany Henry with the county and Christine Lauer with Mountain BizWorks on funding and consulting for property and business owners to better utilize underutilized spaces and improve their properties. Since there's a lot of funding out there right now, we're trying to utilize that the best we can. Congratulations to Greg and Jenny McPherson for being approved for the Opportunity Appalachia Technical Assistance Grant Program. It'll be used for discovery and design to determine the best approach to finish the redesign of the old Carolina Hotel. So I'm really excited about that.
So stay. The project's going.
So stay. We had another merchant who applied and they were declined because of their size, but they're going to be assisted by Mountain BizWorks with their in-house funding that they have. And we have several that we've identified for the next round in September of Opportunity Appalachia. So that's exciting. We have several new businesses. We have the Jug Hill Gallery and the Shulman Suites on the 2nd floor that just opened up. Anthony's Aspen Discount Store, the former Frank Lay Law facility. Highlander Home and Garden, which is the Nichols House Accessories on Mill Street. And then we have the Live Lab Artist Collective workshop with Western. That's in the bottom of the Carolina Hotel on Mill Street. And the Hive Art Pollinator, which is an artist workspace and gallery on Mill Street. And then we've been helping the new owners of the Press building and the Shulman Suites building. They just signed the Wild Kitchen Supply in the old Adapt Health space. So they're working on that, doing construction right now. So they don't have a date to launch it yet. And then just helping them with the Press building. Some of the things they want to do are going to require a lot of investment, time, and change of use. So we've got the county involved in helping them understand the codes and all the impacts of that change of use. And that's all I have.
Thank you. Sounds exciting. Wassa. No, planning board, excuse me.
The planning board met last Thursday and discussed short-term rentals. They discussed allowing them as a secondary use to the primary use in all residential zoning districts, allowing the entire home under a certain square footage to be used for short-term rentals, eliminating the parking and the requirement in the downtown business district for short-term rentals, reducing it if the rental is a portion of the home, and adding a threshold for required parking if there are more than a certain number of bedrooms. So the planning board would like to know how the town board feels about those suggestions so that they know how to move forward. So let me know if you have any feedback or ideas on the districts where short-term rentals are allowed so that they can have direction. Their next meeting is June 16th.
Thank you. Wassa, report.
We passed our budget already very early in the year. It continues the reduced SDF fee schedule, so essentially halved for up to meter size H, and then no system development fee for 2 and 3 bedroom homes or below. And then the Jackson Paper lift station is still on time and on budget. And I believe that's pretty much the only updates I can think of.
Thank you, David. Pinnacle Park report.
I see we have a Pinnacle Park Foundation update. Jay is supposed to come and give that. Heard from him? Maybe he forgot.
Not heard from him today.
I can give a report in lieu of his, I guess he's not here for it. We are talking with, who's the professor at Western that does this surveying? Chris Cooper. To get a use survey done for the park to see what people want to see happen with it and what sort of recreational uses they want. And then we want to take that survey and put it to use in a master plan for the park, and then use that master plan to apply for part of funding to get the trails maintained, and depending on what uses people want to see in the park, potentially more trails. That's sort of the year looking forward goals of Pinnacle Park Foundation.
Thank you. That sounds exciting. Trails. We could get money for that. And then that's all of our reports, and I'll open the fiscal year 2022-2023 budget hearing. Is there anyone that wishes to speak on the budget? Hearing none, I will ask for a motion to close the budget hearing. Okay. We have a motion to close the budget hearing. Any discussion? Then all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. None opposed? Then we will move on to new business. And seeing that Mr. Coward isn't here, should we just move this down on the list in case he comes, or just skip it? Or?
I guess move it down on the list in case he comes.
Okay.
And if not, we'll reach out and schedule for a different meeting.
So I will move Pinnacle Park Foundation update down to the end, which will then become number 6. New business item number 2, fiscal year 2022-2023 ABC board budget. It's a review only. You have any comments or?
No. Or just receives this annually to review.
That's attached to your agenda. Then.
I just have a question about it. So how many, that represents how many stores?
2.
2 stores. Okay.
But they don't break it down per store.
So the one that's here, and then the other store is
Cash.
at Cashers. Okay.
You think it's worth looking into the 60-40 ratio.
We just,
It just seems arbitrary, but it, yeah, okay. It is what it is.
any other comments or questions? Then we will move on to what is now item number 2, approve the June 9th, 2022 regular meeting as both a remote and in-person meeting. And can you update us on that because we did.
We're still under a state of emergency with COVID. So the board can decide to allow in-person and remote a hybrid meeting. And Commissioner Nestler is going to be out of town that meeting and would still like to vote on the budget.
Right?
But we need the rest of the commissioners in person to vote.
Right.
What else is on that agenda? Oh.
Is he? Is he, so he can vote and he counts in the form check?
Did we get our gear so we can do that now?
So it'll be like the budget meeting
Right.
that we had, but technically I'll be allowed to vote in it. It's for a work trip, so sorry. Corresponded with the budget.
But we have our soundboard or whatever now, mixing board. Okay.
So do I hear a motion that we make our regular meeting on June 9th as a remote and in-person meeting?
I'll make that motion.
All right, we have a motion. Any further discussion? And all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye. Can I ask a question?
There's none opposed, so. I
Oh,
guess-
sorry, I'm sorry.
So the motion is approved. You want to ask a question now?
I can wait until, I'm sorry. I didn't-
Is it part of the,
It just pertains to these remote in-person meetings. So are we gonna have to do this every time? Is there a way to make it so we could approve this until the until the emergency, state of emergency goes away, or?
I think the legislature is going to give towns and counties guidance on how to handle that when the state of emergency goes away.
Well, what I was getting at, could we just make it so until the state of emergency goes away, we're allowed to do either one, so we don't have to vote on this every time?
We could try to come up with a policy on that for the board to look into.
I mean, we don't, if it's announced within enough time before it, then it doesn't require a special vote, right? It's just that because we did it less than 2 weeks out, or less than 2 weeks out.
Well, and we don't want to advertise that it's a meeting being held like that too. So if we do it in a meeting, then we don't need to advertise.
Okay.
But we would have to do it each meeting to make it. So as of now, the kind of default is person only unless we do something.
Unless we advertise it or.
Or do what we just did. Okay.
We have to advertise the meetings anyway, right?
Well, they're just on the regular schedule.
Okay, so you'd have to actually have that.
Okay, but if you could look into coming up with a policy so we don't have to vote on this, we can just make it, if the board is okay with all the meetings being, in person or remote. We can talk about it again. Whatever.
so, okay.
Well, can we, I mean, I don't know what to do. I'm just, okay.
I'm just thinking it could become where everybody would say, I just want to meet remotely. And I don't know, I think David has a good reason to do it, but I think we should be here for our constituents unless there is something like that.
So we have a policy on the TWASA board for it, is that you have to get advance permission from the board to approve you participating remotely, and there's a limit on how many times you can do it. I want to say it's 2 times a year or something, so you're not doing it continuously. So it still requires advance notice. So, I mean, I think this is just this, I mean, this is the same essentially, you get advance notice. The only thing different is if my work meeting came up, the day before this meeting, TWASA would be able to accommodate that, I believe, because it doesn't require action in the meeting. Whereas with this, maybe that's not the case. I don't know if you could change it at the beginning of the meeting to add remote, but I mean, I don't know.
Because things do come up, yeah.
Amanda's saying that all those things that you're mentioning are from that policy are probably what we need to look into and see where the legislature and school of government are on this right now.
Right. I think that the legislation and the School of Government is going to give some guidance on it, but for now, if it's something like this, we've approved it. But we also have our rules that say, if you have to miss, because that holds true most of the time, but David especially wanted to vote on this budget. So if I had to be out of town because of an illness in my family or something, you just miss the meeting. And so I don't know how that will, we'll just wait and see if anybody else has to go before we be out, before we get it narrowed down. Then I think we could do it like we did David's on a 1-to-1.
Well, I also think if all of a sudden someone's exposed to COVID and they're isolating or quarantining, which is very possible, and we're seeing that lots. So that could just come up the day before. That person's perfectly fine, and they should be able to participate in that.
Right.
Yeah.
Could this be done the day of a meeting or no?
Yeah.
Let me do some research between now and the next meeting to make sure that we're all kosher on the public meeting requirements. Because there's numerous pages of things that we have under the circumstances we're in now that we have to comply with. So let me make sure all of that's good and I'll get something together. If that's okay.
That's fine. Yeah.
Okay. And next is item number 3 to cancel the June 23rd regular board meeting.
So this meeting will be the meeting directly after the budget's adopted. And Amanda and I are both going to be out of town for that meeting. So I would recommend we cancel this. We don't anticipate any imperative agenda items.
So do I hear a motion to cancel the June 23rd, 2020 regular board meeting? June 23rd, 2022.
I'll make that motion.
Is there any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Next on our agenda, you have in your packet a request for alcohol sales at the 4th of July concert and celebration at is this at Bridge Park? At Bridge Park.
Yes, this is similar to what you all approved the last meeting for the concerts on the creek. Only Bernadette mentioned today that we needed to extend the social district for this for July 4th and do it from the typical hours, only going an hour later and ending at 10 p.m. to accommodate the rest of the band concert and the fireworks.
Each day or just the 4th?
Just the 4th of July. If this is approved, and that would cut down on the fencing that Public Works sets up.
This is 2 separate votes, and one for her and one for the scope.
I just do it as one.
What do we, I'm just curious, how are we doing this? Our social district hours are set in the ordinance do not include Monday. And are we just able to vote and add a single event to that?
So I think you can do that because you've got a separate ordinance that lets you have alcohol at the park if the board approves the permit. So I think you can do it that way. And I think you can also approve the social district for that one day. And then you're covered under both.
Also, there's confusion from the social districts here coming from the fact that it's only on the weekends. Now, we said we would wait until September to extend the hours to be every day. That's what we want to do.
I think you can also do it because it's a town event.
I'll make a motion that we approve this. Change the hours to Monday, July 4th from 8 to 10 p.m.
Actually adding, right? It's adding.
We're not
Rather than changing, it's adding.
Yeah, we're not changing the ordinance. We're just a special event day.
Yeah.
What they are.
But we're creating I'm worried because if an incident happens, alcohol-related incident happens, and someone's like, why was this allowed on a day that's not in your ordinance? You know, why was this social district? Like, is this applied to the entire social district during that day? So like on that Monday, July 4th, the social district is in effect. Even though our ordinance
Yeah,
only
this
says
is outside the ordinance.
Friday to Sunday.
This is just the special event permit that gives that. It's for basically the social district area, but not a change of the ordinance.
Okay, we don't have to comply with the regular North Carolina laws of beer, gel and all that.
See, I don't think so because you've got the social district and you have the ordinance where allowing alcohol at the park. So this is, and it's a town of sponsored event.
All right, well, if y'all, that
So,
passes your legal must.
So if anyone wanted to sell alcohol at Bridge Park outside of the normal, they would come to us with a permit and we would vote on that every time between now and if we change it to the pool.
Even when the social district, if it's after September and you all change the hours, the ordinance to sell alcohol on town property requires board approval.
And on that Monday, so the only people that will be able to sell beer that can be taken around the social district is Innovation at the park, or can people still purchase?
Innovation is the only one that can sell at Bridge Park, but other people can still sell.
But Monday wasn't a day that we allowed it, so do we need to make an exception for July?
That's what this is.
But that's just for her to sell at Bridge Park.
There's two actions. Yes, yeah. All right,
What,
I just don't understand how we're allowed to do that one action.
what does it take for us to, if we were to want to change it sooner than September, to extend those hours beyond, or days and or days outside of the weekend? Is that a public hearing, or can we just?
To her point, I feel like our ordinance should say Friday through Sunday, these hours, or at special events as designated by the town board. Like, I feel like that ordinance should have to allow us to create new social district days, right?
But I thought that the legislature, where we were not able to just do, like, had to be certain days, not on like special events. I'm just wondering, are we gonna come across this again between now and September? I don't know what dates, like Memorial Day and things like that fall. I don't know. Are people gonna wanna do other events and on days outside of the?
I don't anticipate any other days that this would come up. But I mean, you can break it into approving this permit and doing the social district. I mean, that is under two separate ordinances, but the social district also allows it for town events.
So
The
town manager,
benefit of it being the social district is having other businesses being able to sell it, but also not having to do the full fencing.
okay, so our ordinance does allow, our social district ordinance does allow for special events to be added. Does it even have to?
The law also does.
I don't know, I don't recall off the top of my head if the ordinance about it, but law is now that towns get to dictate what we do, and so we can, I think, do this special event, town-sponsored event that allows it without actually having to change the ordinance.
And does changing the ordinance require public hearing before?
Okay. Would the safe thing to do here be to change that ordinance at our next June meeting? Or is this, I mean, is this really, this is okay to do it this way?
I think it's okay to do it this way because I think the state law, we're the ones that control the law now within the jurisdiction of the town property. And since we get to control the law within the jurisdiction of the town property, the town can decide to do that for this day without having an ordinance. Do you agree with that?
Yes, I do. And I think whether or not we had it in the ordinance that special events could happen, the law still allows that.
I would be interested in seeing it for the rest of the board. Would be interested prior to September, like David said. I don't know if that's. We can
What do you tune it every day?
change it prior to September, yeah.
We're gonna wait till September so we can get some data.
Say wait until September.
That's what we said we were gonna do.
Yeah. Sorry.
Yes, it did. I'm sorry, I was concentrating on Natalie as she was speaking.
I'm sorry.
Yes.
Oh, so what I'm hearing is the town manager and town attorney both say this is okay for us to do. It is okay for us to add a day, and the day we're talking about is the 4th of July. Social district hours would be 9 AM to 10, right? That's what we're at.
That's the plan, and we will confirm that tomorrow.
Okay,
So I'd say, yes, based upon the concern, we will definitely confirm that tomorrow, but that's what I believe off the top of my head. If that changes or I'm incorrect, we will get it correct.
sorry, you satisfied with that? Yeah, okay, there's been a motion, right? Didn't Greg make a motion?
I made the motion.
To approve the special
I made the
request.
motion to do it as one. We approve the special request and we do the special district on the special day, which is July.
Have a motion. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
And those opposed.
I did.
And we have 4, and 1 against. Next on our list is our department county offer for paid personnel.
Yes, I received a notification that the Jackson County Board of Commissioners are by consensus agreeing to fund $1,074,290 to the town to operate a 24/7 fire department with a minimum of 8 full-time personnel. So this includes the cost for those 8 personnel, the debt payment service on the building, the paper call, and their annual contribution. The county wants this board, even though this was discussed at our last meeting, to take a vote on whether we would accept that funding because June 9th is too late for their budget process. So so we need to decide tonight if the town board is willing to accept this funding from the county.
I have a motion that we move to approve the monies that Jackson County and the way that they are dispersing them to us. That was right here. Managers,
Do we have this?
that was, Paige said that was her manager's report, but was not in the packet. But she read, it's written here, I think.
I'm willing to make the motion that we accept the offer from Jackson County for paid personnel of 8 for the Sylva Fire.
And that includes more than, it's like what Paige said, that's more than the money for the personnel. It includes the fire calls and
The building payment, the paper call, the annual contribution.
Can you just confirm that the mutual aid, the paid firemen, the insurance, the building, it's all a 5-year term? Is that correct?
Our mutual aid agreement that you all will see at the next meeting is a 5-year term.
But the amount,
The amount is not specified.
what we need to make sure is that the amount stays the same or higher next year. It doesn't decrease because of the fire department building payment coming on.
I'd really hate for you to have to fight this fight every year.
Well, what the county is saying is they funded this annual contribution every year and the payment on the building. So it's not going to be a set amount and they don't want to tie it to a number of people. But each year it is going to be that we will let them know what our needs are and hopefully they can fund them or assist with them. If not, the town will come up with how to fund that in our budget. But it's an agreement to provide the fire services and them to help with the cost.
And this is the same way that it's done for the other fire departments. Cullowhee and Cadmus.
Same way they're funding Cullowhee, but it's the same mutual aid agreement for all the departments. So,
We're still discussing.
yes, if you have.
I'd like to discuss. Yeah, so I just, just of note, this last line here, Jackson County looks forward to our continued partnership with the town of Sylva to provide excellent fire protection to our citizens. And there was a lot of discussion that went into this. There was a study that was done that recommended having more full-time firefighters in the town of Sylva. And the county has chosen to go the lowest number of 8. And therefore, that would be a 24 hours on, 48 hours off shift for the firefighters. This is the busiest station, if you will, in the county. We have a lot more calls than Cullowhee does. I think there are some of us, at least some of us on the board, that feels like that 8 is really not enough to provide excellent fire protection to our citizens. So hopefully the county hears this and realizes that they're going to have to keep looking at this to make sure that they continue to help us provide excellent fire service through the town of Sylva. So.
Thank you. Any other discussion? Then all those in favor of Mary's motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
And none opposed. So you can report that to the county for that. Thank you. And I still don't see Mr. Coward to give that foundation report. So maybe if you can check with him
Yes, we'll reach out.
and see if he wants to do that at another meeting. Being no more new business on our agenda, I would ask for a motion to adjourn.
I motion to adjourn.
Thank you. Any discussion on that? And all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
None opposed. Thank you all.
Good people.